How's it going, dudes? Welcome back to the worst board game of all time, Tournament 2. We have officially reached the end of the Shabby Semifinals, seeing two more of the worst board games from around the world falling right at the end, while the remaining titles both take their final step forward toward the crown. But which of these remaining games will have a chance to become the worst of the worst? That's what we are here to find out with the official declaration of the semi-final results. But before we get to that, it's time to check in once more on the standings of the WBGOAT Bracket Challenge. Going into the quarterfinals, we had our first top three emerge to take their place atop the podium. And once that round had concluded, we once again had a completely different top three because nobody here knows how to hold a lead. Now in third place, we have a two-way tie between Mike G and the Radman. Both of these two are sitting at a cool 1,100 points, but while their total is the same, their champs are not, with Mike siding with his Bray King and the Radman following his boss, the Rat. In second place, commanding a slightly higher 1,110 points, an entirely separate mystery bracket from the one that was leading the challenge last round. Yet another person choosing to play for the love of the game, this mystery competitor has followed the trend of so many others and chosen Bray Key to guide their path in the hopes of a better life in the Bray Kingdom. And currently holding on to first place, we have another two-way tie between Abander and McQuiggy. Both sitting at 1,150 points, we fortunately do not need to worry about a tie as they have each picked a different champion. McQuiggy taking the popular route of also selecting Bray Key for the win, and Abander instead choosing the Campaign for North Africa as their champion of war. After the Shabby Semis are over, we will be able to accurately predict our two possible winners. So we'll need to see if these two can hold on to their spots and have a shot at winning it all. But before we can find out, we'll first need to declare which of our games will be leaving here. As per usual, I'll be joined virtually by my color commentator, Joshua Jacobs. Pleasure to be here, Cam, and I cannot wait to see who our final two competitors are gonna be. I'm sure that everyone feels the same way, so to find out, let's go ahead and move on over to the big bracket to see which of these games will be moving on. Going straight to our one remaining matchup, we will find two games that have made their way here through tough trials and hard work. Unfazed by the games that they have overcome, they now find themselves on the precipice of greatness. One final challenge in order to claim the title that they have put everything on the line for. Everything comes down to this as we arrive now at the Grievous Grand Final, where the Eastern Region Champion Bray Key will face off against the Western Region Champion, the Campaign for North Africa, the Desert War, 1940-43. These two legendary titles have made it into the final match on completely different treks, with their last matches echoing their trips to this point extremely well. For Bray Key, it has been smooth sailing ever since the tourney's start, posting wins that range anywhere from massive to dominant as it bulldozes straight through anyone and everyone in its way. This continuing to be the case in its semi-final match as the leading tennis hustler 15 Love was unable to put together an offensive that could match the Bray King's power, showing bigs that a smart tennis player can really only beat a strong tennis player 4 games out of 7. Meanwhile, on the other side, North Africa has been fighting for its life since the first round, not managing to score 80 points in any of its matches, but crucially managing to beat every game it's gone up against regardless. Highlighted by its wholly unexpected upset last round when it took down the #1 overall seed, the video board game Rap Rat. For close games like that one, North Africa was well prepared to adjust and respond. But as the Rat was facing his first deficit of the tournament, he lost his composure, allowing North Africa to capitalize and seal the Rat away from the grand finals. What is left from these two incredible tournament runs are the culminations of storylines many rounds in the making. Bray Key, the hot young gun looking to establish itself as the ruler of the bracket. North Africa, the grizzled vet looking to add a title to its claim of winningest competitor of all time. Two fates intertwined with a title on the line. The King versus the Soldier. Upper Deck versus Richard Berg. The shortest game versus the longest game. It all comes down to this, a grand final to remember. Breaky versus North Africa with a match against adultery on the line. And only one of them will take home the crown. But before we let Josh run us through his pick, let's look at our two losers who will be duking it out over third place. In our consolation match, we will find two games that fell just short of their shot at the title. The video board game Rap Rat versus 15 Love. In our bronze medal battle, the Rat and Biggs Calderhead will give their all in order to take home the $15 Chili's gift card that is given as a consolation prize. 15 Love has taken his Shabby Semi's loss relatively well, considering how he was able to get further than anyone expected, showcasing his growth and skills as he joins an elite club and readies his Shabby Semi's banner to be hung. On the other side, the Rat is absolutely seething right now. Furious at his loss and going on a media blitz blaming the refs, the voters, his players, anyone within his general vicinity is not safe from his blame train. In fact, the only reason that he isn't causing some sort of demonic firestorm right now is due to the fact that murder would disqualify him from the third place match. And this rhyming rodent is absolutely not going home empty-handed. But 15 Love still has a lot riding on this match too, as with its second chance to win its 5th game of the tourney, the Calderhead sweep could be back in action one last time to etch his words into tournament legend. With our final matchups fully set, let's bring Josh in to see who he thinks is likely to win it all. Yeah, Kim, it's been a long journey, but I think it was well worth it for this electrifying final. Firstly, for our third place match, I'd really like to see Biggs take home some hardware, but I'm really not trying to get on a demon's bad side here. Rap Rat for the bronze. Now for the real final, I think you summed it up perfectly. The longest game versus the shortest game, which one do the voters think is the worst? When it comes to these kinds of high-profile matchups, it's always really tough to figure out which aspects the voters are going to focus in on. The gameplay, the fun factor, the whack crap, all possibilities for the voters to key in on, with each aspect hitting each voter differently. Even my usual breakdowns that I use for tiebreakers don't work here, because a bunch of them end up getting split between the two. Which game would I rather own? North Africa for sure, it's an icon. Which game would I rather play? Definitely Breaky, since you know, I'd rather not be spending 10 hours per turn doing paperwork. Which game do I think has better gameplay? North Africa. I'd hesitate to call whatever Breaky offers gameplay. Which game do I think is more fun? Breaky for sure. I've never heard of anyone quitting Breaky out of frustration, but that happens to quite literally every North Africa player. There are tons of different angles to take this matchup from, and each one produces a different result. So the only way I can see us gauging a winner here is based on how the match goes. Breaky has been a runaway winner all tournament. If it gets going early, no game has been able to catch it, and I think that continues here. If Breaky gets that massive early lead, North Africa is going to fall too far behind. Simple as. But if North Africa can take that first step, we'll have ourselves something interesting. I originally thought that the Rap Rat had too much hype behind it for North Africa to overcome, but I neglected to consider that the Rat had not found himself in a close match all tourney. So when he ended up down against the campaign, he didn't know how to respond. I absolutely think that the same could apply to Breaky here, if not more, as Breaky has not sniffed a close match this whole time. So who knows if it has the mental toughness to lock in if it finds itself down. In a close match, I actually think North Africa might have the edge, but it's gonna need to come out fast and hard in order to make sure that the king doesn't get that signature early lead. So if I had to pick which game I think will win between the heavy favorite and the scrappy underdog, I'm gonna have to refer to last year's Grievous Grand Final when we saw the same scene and go with the favorite. As much as I'd like to see North Africa take that final step, I think the king will finally rise to claim his throne as Breaky takes the crown. I can definitely see the similarities with last year, and just like that one, I hope we have an absolutely stellar final on our hands here. But one of these two games won't be the only one taking home a title, as with our grand finals now set, we are able to reveal the two brackets that have put themselves in the position to become the Bracket Challenge champion. In order to be in this position, your bracket needed to do well enough to 1. Be the best bracket among those who picked your champion, and 2. Be close enough to the leader that your champion winning puts you over their point total to take first. And both of those conditions have been met by each side of the pool. Representing those that picked North Africa to win it all, we have one of our previous first place holders, Abander. Correctly predicting the North Africa Breakee final, Abander has managed to hold on to their leading position, meaning that if the campaign wins it all, their score will be unreachable by any other bracket, which will of course grant them the win. But as you will recall, Abander was sharing the first place position with McQuiggy at the start of this round. And despite their champion being Breakee, they are unfortunately unable to win this bracket challenge. The difference comes from McQuiggy predicting that the final would be Breakee versus the Rap Rat. So missing out on those points that came from the Rat's loss has instead pushed VSense into the leading Breakee bracket slot, jumping from 8th place to finalist purely off the Demon's defeat. This means that if Breakee wins it all, they will be the one to take home the grand prize. So these two are likely going to be laser focused on the results of this final round to see which of them is going to be going home a champion. Only time will tell, and looking forward, we only have 2 competitors left that have arrived at their shot at the crown. The grand finals are about to begin, so check out how your bracket is doing and be ready to vote once more for your least favorite title. Let us know below which of these two you will be rooting for, and which game you think would have the best shot at taking down our current champ, Adultery. Get ready for the Grievous Grand Finals as we finally find the worst board game of all time. Signing off for the NBGA, I am KamSandwich. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.